the trickster spider, Anansi, travel around the world, Anansi, for boys and girls, Anansi, he's in Africa, Anansi, in the islands too, Anansi, he's here today, Anansi, for me and you, Anansi, and if you listen, Anansi, his stories you'll find, Anansi, will strengthen your mind, Anansi, they're gonna strengthen your mind, Anansi, they're gonna strengthen your mind, Anansi, Anansi.
Good afternoon. I am Emily Hooper Lansana.
And I'm Glenda Zahra Baker.
And together we are In the Spirit. And we are so happy to be here this afternoon to share our spirits with yours. We perform African and African American folk tales, and what we'll be sharing with you this afternoon is our contemporary adaptation of some of the wonderful stories of Anansi the Spider. All right. So, the first story says, well, I guess there's some questions that I need to ask you before we get started with the first story. I need to ask, how many legs does a spider have? 8 legs. Commonly believe that. And are the legs usually short or long? Long, usually long. Well, this story happened a long time ago, when spiders had 8 short legs. And way back then, Anansi was sitting at home one afternoon. It might have been a Sunday afternoon just like this. He made up a great big pot of cornbread and he thought, something is missing. I need something to go with this. Let me go out and see what I can find. Anansi put some string in his pocket. He walked through the neighborhood and he walked up to the first house that smelled good. That's everybody over here on this side. He walked up and he knocked on the door. He said, "Can I come in?" And they said, "Yes." Let me hear you say yes. Yes. Ah, good. Your house smells so good. It smells like you guys are having beans for lunch. I just love beans. Ooh, I love every kind of beans they make. Can we have some right now? And they said, "They're not ready yet." Let me hear that. They're not ready yet? Oh, no. Well, what do you think I should do? They said, "Sit a spell and tell us a story." Let me hear it.
Sit a spell and tell us a story.
A story? Oh, you know I do love to tell stories, but I'm so tired, and I am looking for something to go with my cornbread. But I tell you what, I'm going to tie the string around 3 of my legs, and when the beans get ready, could you just give a little tug, and could you call out,
"Beans are Nazi, beans 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 are Nazi."
Hey, I like the sound of that. All right, we're going to have some beans today. Okay, see ya. Well, Anansi kept on walking. He got to the next house that smelled good. That's everybody right here. He walked up and he knocked on the door. He said, "Can I come in?" And they said, "Oh, good. Oh, your house smells so good. It smells like you guys are having greens. You know, I love collard greens, mustard greens, spinach greens, salad greens. I just love greens. Oh, I hope we can have some right now." And they said, "They're not ready." Oh, no. Well, what do you think I should do? They said, "Sit a spell and tell us a story." Oh, I love stories, but I had this cornbread and I'm looking for something to go with it right now. I tell you what, I'm going to tie some string around 3 of my legs, and when the greens get ready, because you just pull on that string, and could you call out,
"Greens are ready, ready, greens are ready, ready, greens are ready, ready, greens are ready."
Hey, I like the sound of that. All right, we're going to have some greens and cornbread today. See ya. Nancy kept on walking. He got to the last house. Ooh, he could smell it before he even heard the door open. Yams with butter and cinnamon. He said, "Can we have some right now?" And they said, "They're not
ready yet."
Oh, no. What should I do? They said, "Sit a
spell and tell us a story."
A story? Oh, let me see. I just can't even remember the story. I'm so hungry and I'm thinking about so much good food. But I tell you what, I had, let's see, 3 legs at the first house and 3 legs at two legs over here. And I'm going to tie some string on them. And when the yams get ready, could you just give a tug and could you call out,
"Yams, woo! Yams, woo!"
greens or yams, and all of a sudden, Anansi felt some pulling and he heard some calling, and they were saying,
beans, Anansi, beans, Anansi, beans, Anansi, beans, Anansi. Keep it going for me. Anansi, beans, Anansi. Greens are ready, ready. Greens are ready, ready. Greens are ready, ready. Greens are ready, ready. Yams! Woo! Yams! Woo! Yams! Woo! Yams! Woo!
well, Anansi could not move in all those directions at the same time. Finally, he said, stop! Anansi had to pull his legs back in one at a time. Can you help him out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 long legs with a bunch of string. Well, Anansi fixed it together into a beautiful picture, which he decided to call a web. And every web that he made had a story. And by the time he finished fixing those webs, well, his friends had come knocking at his door. And they said, I have some greens, and I have some beans, and I have some yams. I remember you had that cornbread. Let's sit a spell and eat. And that was the first potluck. That's how Anansi got to have long legs, and that's how he started making webs. All right, Anansi's gonna sit at that table. All right, thank you. Well, I have heard that Anansi was a great collector of wisdom, and that there was a time, a long time ago, where it was believed that certain people should be the keepers of wisdom. Certain people who had studied in high places. Certain people who were great leaders or teachers. But Anansi had this feeling that there was wisdom hiding inside of everyday folk. And Anansi decided he was going to try it out. So he got a great big gourd, and he started traveling around the world to see if he could collect wisdom. He traveled
all the world for wisdom.
Yes, he did.
He searched all the world for
Wisdom.
He searched high and low for
Wisdom.
He looked and he listened for
Wisdom.
He went to the young for
Wisdom.
He went to the old for
Wisdom.
He went to the east for wisdom. He went to the west for
Wisdom.
He went to the north for
Wisdom.
He went to the south for
Wisdom.
He went up the hill for wisdom. Went down in the valley for wisdom. Went all around the world for wisdom. Went all around the world for wisdom.
And when Anansi thought that he had gotten all the wisdom in the world inside of that gourd, he decided that that gourd was very precious, so he should hide it in a special place. He thought about putting it underground, and they thought, no, somebody might be searching for treasure and they might dig it up. I think that I should hide it at the top of a very tall tree. And so Anansi put that gourd onto his tummy, and he started trying to climb up that tree. But every time he started up, he fell. He got that gourd back on, and he started climbing that tree. But every time he started up, he fell down. Well, just so happens that there were some folk watching him, just regular folk. In fact, a whole bunch of children were part of that crew. And they looked up and they said, Anansi, why don't you put it on your back? They said, back, back, put it on your back. Back, back, put it on your back. Back, 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 back. Back, back, put it on your back. And Anansi said, oh, my back. He took that gourd, he put it on his back, and he went right up to the top of that tree. And he looked out, And he said, hey, you all gave me a pretty good idea. And that just goes to show I don't even have all the wisdom in this world inside this gourd. So let me shake it up and let me spread it out. And that's the way the wisdom started spreading all around the world. So you look up and look down, look north and look south, look east and look west, look to the young and look to the old, and you just might find a real good piece of wisdom. And if you find it, make sure to spread it around.
Around the world. Spread your wisdom 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 around the world. Red and yellow and black and white, all are precious in the light. When you spread your wisdom around the
while you're visiting all the Humanities Festival events that you pick up a really good piece of wisdom and you make sure to pass it on. All right. So next we're going to tell you what happens to be one of my favorite Anansi stories of all the thousands of stories. And the story says that Anansi was listening to all of the animals having a big fight. Yes, they were fussing and fighting, just like people do, but the difference was they were not using guns or weapons. They weren't even using their claws or their paws. They were using words, and the winner would be the one who could tell the best story. And so I bet you're wondering, what was this fight all about? They were fighting to see which kind of animal was the oldest of all the animals. And the first one to come forth was the guinea fowl. The guinea fowl came forward with bright red legs and said, "Look at my legs. Don't you see that I have red fire legs because I was here when the earth was first on fire at the beginning of time. I am the oldest." And they looked at that guinea fowl's legs and they said, "Ooh, he's old. He's really, really old." I said, "Ooh, he's old. He's really, really old." Well, the lion came forward. And the lion said, "Well, that guinea fowl looks pretty old to me. But I do have to tell you that once you listen to me, you will know by the gift of my roar that I was here when the first sound was given. Roar!" And they listened to that roar and they said, "Oh, he's old. He's really, really old." Let me hear it now. "Oh, he's old. He's really, really old." Well, the peacock stepped forward and said, I will say that my friend guinea fowl is quite old. And I will say that my friend lion may even be older than guinea fowl. But I, the peacock, with my majestic feathers, have come to tell you that I am the oldest of all of the animals. Look at the light of the color in my feathers. When beauty was first given out, I was the first in line. Can't you see? And they looked at her and they said, "Ooh, she's old. He's really, really old. Ooh, he's old. He's really, really old." Well, let me tell you what happened next. Anansi had been listening to all of the stories. And Anansi said, "Guinea fowl is old, and lion is old, and peacock is very old. But I will tell you that the time has come for me to let you know why I, Anansi the Spider, am the oldest of all the animals." And this is how it went. At the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of time, the earth was brand new. Grass was was new. Flowers were new. Trees were new. No one had even stepped or flown across the earth, and the Creator called out for an explorer to check the place out and sent me. And I explored all the corners of the earth, and I went back and I said, yes, the earth is perfect. Send the others. And if you're not sure if I'm telling the truth, even today, if you want to look for a spider, the best place to find one is in a corner, because we've been exploring the corners of the earth since the beginning of time. And they said, he's the oldest, Anansi the oldest. He's the oldest, Anansi the oldest. All right.
Storyteller. Fight our battles by telling our stories. I want to finish with one of my favorite songs. Emily got to tell her favorite story, so I want to share my favorite song. It's a song that comes from a man named Harry Belafonte. Anybody ever heard of him? Yes. All right, great. I have to teach it to you. You have to take your hands, shake them out, wave them in the air. Let me know you care. Good. All right, and make the mountain and fire, water, and sky. Good. We'll start out by, I'll sing a line and you repeat it after me. We come from the mountains. We come from the mountains. Living in the mountains. Living in the mountains. Go back to the mountains. Go back to the mountains. Turn the world around. Turn the world around. Excellent. Let's do that together. 1, 2, ready, go. We come from the mountains, living in the mountains. Go back to the mountains, turn the world around. Excellent. The next part goes like this. We come from the mountains. We come from the mountains. Go back to the mountains, turn the world around. Good, so we're going to do those two sections with the mountains, then we're going to take out the word mountains and put in, what? Huh? Fire, passion, let me hear it, fire! Good, all right, good. And then we're going to take out the word fire and put in the word water. Then we'll take out the word water and put in the word sky. Good, all right, let's take it from the top. Taking a deep breath. Good. We come from the mountains, living in the mountains. Go back to the mountains, turn the world around. We come from the mountains, go back to the mountains, turn the world around. We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the sky, living in the sky. Go back to the sky, turn the world around. We come from the sky. Go back to the sky, turn the world around. We come from the mountain. We come from the fire. We come from the water. We come from the sky. Living in the mountain. Living in the fire. Living in the water. Living in the sky. Go back to the mountain. Go back to the fire. Go back to the water. Go back to the sky. Turn the world around. Turn the world around. Turn the world around. Last time like you know you could do it. Turn the world
hope that you share some stories, spread some love, spread some wisdom, spread some laughter, pass it on. Thank you.
All right. Our second trickster today is brought to us by Pranita Jain of Kalapriya and I Gusti Kertayuda Ngurah of the Indonesian dance of Illinois. The Hindu epic Ramayana is performed in different theatrical styles in India, in Thailand, and in Indonesia. And we're in for something a little different now, because unlike Anansi, who used his mischief to bring out the wisdom of others and share the wisdom with the world, here our trickster is not so benevolent. He's not so interested in helping other people. He's interested in helping himself to someone else's wife.
The hero of the Indian epic Ramayana is Ram. Instigated by his evil stepmother, Kekai, his father Dashrath banishes him into the forest for 14 years. Ram's beautiful wife Sita and brother Lakshman accompany him to the forest. In the faraway land of Sri Lanka, the 10-headed evil demon king Ravana has heard of Sita's beauty. To avenge the insults laid on his sister Shrupanka by Ram and Lakshman, Ravana wants to kidnap Sita and make her his wife. Seeing the magical golden deer, Sita requests her husband Ram to bring the deer to her. The magical deer is a demon in disguise who has been sent by Ravana to lure Ram away from Sita. When Ram is chasing the deer in the forest, the deer imitates Ram's voice and asks Lakshman for help. Lakshman is reluctant to leave Sita unattended and go help Ram. The next scene describes Sita's reaction to Ram's pleas for help. She beseeches Lakshman to go rescue Ram. Lakshman draws a protective boundary around Sita, taking a promise from her that she will not cross the boundary. Ravana, the 10-headed demon, disguises himself as a holy man and comes to kidnap Sita.
Here, Lakshmana! Here, Sita!
enjoyed both of your performances very much.
Thank you.
I know your voice is very familiar. Do you do recordings of something? If I heard you on NPR, I don't know, your voice is just very familiar, so I've heard it on the radio.
We've been performing together for 20 years now, and throughout Chicago, so perhaps one of our storytelling performances. Thank you.
Why did the man run into the woman in the dance? And the end.
Ngurah over here is the 10-headed demon king Ravana, and he was trying to kidnap the princess Sita. The princess had asked her husband Ram to go bring back the deer for her. So he was just being mean, and he was trying to kidnap the princess away.
This question is to either one of you. Would you appraise the state of storytelling in this particular moment? I mean, do you feel hopeful about it? Do you feel discouraged in terms of how the importance is placed on storytelling? What would be your thinking about that?
So I find this a more exciting and alluring way of telling a story, that you act it out, and as a narrator, we feel the story, we get into the character, instead of just reading the story. The writer puts his heart into the story, his expressions into the story. I think I can speak for Ngurah and me, myself. We as artists put our body in the story.
I think that this is a very, excuse me, exciting time for storytelling. And I see that storytelling is happening in many different ways. And when I first came to storytelling, I was trained as an actress and then became a storyteller. And one of the things that was exciting to me about it was that there were so many different things that people were doing that they were calling storytelling. You know, personal stories, folk tales, history, and now that has blossomed even more. We have more literary storytelling approaches, and I work with children who are telling stories. I teach workshops, and we just seem to have more and more people interested. So I actually think this is a very exciting time for storytelling.
How do you feel when you practice?
For the practice? Okay. For the dance, think one from inside you want to do. That's just art. If already do and then have talent or no talent, that's okay, that's the back. The first practice, and then you know, for the character dance, and then fluent for the movement, that's just feel. For me, that's every practice, then, or I teach kid dance, very happy.
It's easier to practice when you really feel it and enjoy it. Then it doesn't feel like practice, it feels like fun.
I would say that when you are a storyteller who performs alone, that practicing is difficult because storytelling is an art form that is interactive. So we are unusual in that we're a duo, so when we perform, when we practice, we're telling for each other, but there's nothing like the magic of having an audience. So I think that's the difference between practicing and performing, especially in storytelling.
Can you tell me the age or how old are the stories from both parties?
The stories that we told are Anansi stories that are West African folk tales, and they're just very old traditional folk tales, each of them. They're from Ghana, and there are many Anansi stories and the traditional folk tales.
I think the record of Ramayana in India goes back to 5th century AD, when it was created. I'm not sure if it was written down, and it traveled through India, through Thailand, through Bali. How old is the tradition in Bali?
Yeah, it's that's basic for the Ramayana from India. This I think Valmiki. They created for the creation of Valmiki. That's century 84. Yeah, that's to the Indonesia. The Indonesia famous in Bali and Java. There's a story puppetry, and then the story Ramayana, and West Java, Central Java, and then to Thailand maybe, Thailand, Tibet.
That's another question. I actually was thinking about the same thing of wanting to know how old the stories were, and I actually maybe want to take us a bit to think about the trickster figure. And I'm wondering if you could, either you could speak about how instructive the figure might be for us in thinking maybe personally or thinking kind of culturally. How does the trickster figure help us in this particular moment?
I think and speak for Ramayana on a socio-cultural basis about family values, that the wife, knowing the danger that there is to send her husband away, she still sends him away. And the value of the next door neighbor who comes and grabs this unattended wife and he wants to go away with her. I find it socially happening and relevant, and even though she is reluctant to go with him, she goes with him. There's a modern take on the Ramayana in this wonderful animated movie, Sita Sings the Blue. So it's a delightful modern version of Sita. I fought with my Ravana on stage. Sita did not have the muscles to fight with Ravana, so she just went with him. So I do think there's a social relevance to Rama and Sita and Ravana. Ram obliges his wife by going away. The brother listens to his husband's wife to go protect the brother and leaves the wife unattended. So I know the epic so well, so it's kind of hard for me to draw threads here and there, but I'm trying my best.
I think that the stories continue to live because they continue to be relevant. And I think that the trickster figure is especially relevant in this moment because we are continually facing new challenges and looking for new ways to reach our children and to communicate across cultures. And so I think this is a wonderful opportunity because the concept of the trickster is a universal concept, and this is a wonderful way of having a cultural conversation about it.
I would like to know, everything you've done is so beautiful. At what age do you begin to take an interest in this on either side? And how long does it take you to become as beautiful a dancer and wonderful storyteller, singer that you are? How much practice goes into that?
Well, my training was my mother took me to my teacher and just paid the monthly fee, no questions asked. Didn't ask the teacher how many hours are you going to keep her, how long are you going to keep her, beat her, do what you do with her, just make a dancer out of her.
I have always loved stories, and my family tells me I've always loved to talk. But actually, my first language is music, and I started singing in the church choir when I was 5. I sang so loud that they put me in the adult choir. So I've had a love for singing and a love for listening and gathering stories. So this was a natural direction for me to move in. I didn't know about storytelling as an art form, as to perform. I knew about listening to my uncles tell stories or my aunt talk about being a part of the March on Washington or hearing ministers talk about stories. But it was only in my adult life that I came to realize that storytelling as a performance, as an art form. And the first person that I saw in Chicago performing was one of our mentors, Shanta. I don't know if any of you have seen her before or not, but she's the one that pointed us in this direction and introduced us to the National Association of Black Storytellers, which gave us an opportunity to go and see on a national level what African American storytellers are doing. And like Emily talked about, seeing the wide range of performances that are presented. And so that was what inspired us to continue to, we had a natural connection with wanting to bring stories and music together in one setting. So that's where we fell in love with creating, adapting and interpreting stories for ourselves. And so it's not really practice for us, it's an abundant amount of love that we have for stories and for sharing them, that we spend time together so that we can give the best performance for you all.
I've been also performing since I was very, very young, but was trained as an actress and didn't formally begin storytelling until I met Zahra and we started that journey together. I will say that I think as early as children can talk, that it's great to get them to start storytelling. I have 4 sons, and one of my sons is a storyteller. He started performing publicly at 6, and he's 10 now, and he has received the National Association of Black Storytellers Youth Storytelling Award this year. So we're passing it on.
Thank you very much. My grandpa, that's a master for the mass dance in Bali. And then my mom, a dancer. And when I was like a dance, I understood 7 years old, that's baris dance, man dance. When I go to understood, my father took me and then go ahead and then I dance. I was then 7 years old. And then high school, I took class for the art in Bali. That's called Conservatory Karawitan, Indonesia. And then I took 3 years after that academic for the dance in Bali. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being with us today.